let's take a look at OneDrive. OneDrive is Microsoft's cloud storage solution, or at least one of them. Specifically, it's your cloud storage. So OneDrive, it's a place where you store files. Specifically, you are storing files inside your Microsoft account. These files are then accessible by you from any computer so long as you have your Microsoft account credentials. This has the benefit of being accessible from everywhere. You can access your files on your PC or laptop, your phone, or really any web browser. If your computer dies or maybe it's stolen, your files are still safe. You haven't lost them. You just sign into another computer. Additionally, if you get upgraded to a new computer that's more powerful, or just plain old newer, better battery by your IT department, you just sign into the new computer and all your files will be right there. Additionally, we can share files with OneDrive without having to copy our file into an email. All of this we will take a look at and go over. On the downside, OneDrive is really meant to be your file storage. It's not really meant for you and a few other people. Other people will have their own OneDrive. If you're trying to work on a project with lots of files that multiple people need access to, your better solution is to use SharePoint. It's a very, very similar piece of software, which we will cover in another video, but for now, no. For sharing small things, just one-off, OneDrive is fine. For sharing larger amounts of files, we will want to look at SharePoint. Let's take a look at OneDrive on your computer. It should already be installed on your system. And if you look way down in the lower left-hand corner, you can see there's an icon that looks like a little cloud, and if it's gray, it means you're not signed in. It may be hidden under the arrow icon here to expand for more icons. We can click here and sign into OneDrive. OneDrive should already be installed on your computer. Now, if we're not signed in already, we can go through the sign-in process, putting in your Microsoft account credentials. And here we go. Now it's going to tell us where our OneDrive folder is. Ultimately, we don't have to pay too much attention to that. If I hit Next, it may ask you about backing up folders on this PC. What this means is that they want to take your other document, pictures, desktop folders that are already on your computer, and do you want to save them into your Microsoft account, into OneDrive? If this computer you are on is only a work computer and used for nothing else, I would generally recommend leaving this enabled. If this is a personal computer, maybe you're working from home using your own computer, then I would recommend turning this off. And we can uncheck the boxes here and make sure that nothing is backed up. And we can hit I'll do it later because they don't have a just skip button. For demonstration purposes, I am going to leave, let's say, pictures and desktop enabled, but I'm going to disable the documents folder backup just so I can show you what happens to both. And I'm going to hit Start Backup. And then I'm going to hit Next. It's going to tell you some stuff about sharing files, and we can just skip through this. Additionally, it's going to give you a reminder of what some of the different icons on your files will mean. And we will see this again in a moment. It's going to ask you if you want to install the mobile app. I don't care at this time, and I can open my OneDrive folder. And we can get to our OneDrive folder a few different ways. Ultimately, anytime you open up the File Explorer, it's pinned to here on my taskbar, but if I just type in File Explorer and hit Enter, it will show all my files, and on the left-hand side, I can see OneDrive, and then it gives me the name of which OneDrive it is. You can have more than one OneDrive, because you have a single OneDrive for every Microsoft account you own. So if you have a work account and a personal Microsoft account, you can have a OneDrive for both of them. And I can click on OneDrive, and I can see the folders for my documents. Now I've pre-created some of these folders, and we can see there's a status. The status here is an empty cloud right now. And what that means is that that folder, and everything in it, is only available if I am connected to the internet. So I can come in here, I can go to my pictures folder, and I can see I have a few folders, and I have a picture here. Its status for this picture is only online. If I have an internet connection, I can open it, otherwise I can't. So if I go ahead and open that picture, it will open just as I would expect. And the status icon will actually change. Now it's this little green check mark, but it's not solid. It's not solid green. So this means the file is available on my computer without the internet, but only for now. My computer will decide later if it needs more storage space, or after a preset period of time, it will just remove it from my computer to free up some space. If I need this file to always be available without internet, I'm going on a long trip for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing some flying, I'm not going to have an internet connection. I can right-click on the file and hit Always Keep on this device. If I do that, the icon will change to solid green. Always available, even if I don't have an internet connection. If I go up a folder, so I'm back to the root of my OneDrive, I can take that entire folder and say, always keep that folder on my device. And now I don't have to worry about it when I'm traveling. But maybe I need to save some storage space. I can right-click, free up space. It'll take a moment, and now those files will not actually be on my computer. But, of course, because I have an internet connection, I can reopen that file. Then, what I can do is I can actually share files as well. So if I right-click on a file, go down to OneDrive, I can hit Share. And what this is going to allow me to do is invite people who are already in the company I work for. So I can invite people by name, although if they belong to a different organization, it may not recognize their name, and you may have to put in their email address directly. Alternatively, we can copy a link. And I can actually come in and change the options for this link. I can allow anybody to click on the link, or only people who already have access. So I can set permissions fairly granularly. The important thing is, though, the file that they access will still be in your OneDrive. So we can revoke access as well. And we will try and take a look at that in the web app in a moment. So in addition to having all of our files here, we can see my desktop folder actually represents everything on my desktop, but it's now stored in OneDrive. So if I put a file in here, let's make a new text document. And we can see this file is on my desktop, but it's also in OneDrive. It's the same location. And we can see the pictures folder. So if I look on the left side here, and if I go to pictures, you can see it has this status icon here. And we can see at the top, it actually does say OneDrive here. So we can see that these files, this picture folder, is the same picture folder as the one in OneDrive. Because both my pictures folder and my desktop folder, I opted to do that backup. So they're the same folder. My documents folder, on the other hand, which has one file in it, is not the same as my documents folder here within OneDrive. So if I click on documents, I have some document in here. But if I go to this documents folder, it's a different folder. They're different places. This documents folder is local only. Any file saved here is on the computer and that's it. Whereas any file saved in this documents folder is within OneDrive, so it's in your Microsoft account, accessible directly from your computer. Again, this is because I did not opt to do the backup within the OneDrive app. We can go in and change our settings. So if I click the OneDrive icon on the taskbar and go up to settings, I can manage the backup. And I could make it so that documents folder is the same one as the one that's in OneDrive. I can also stop backup for my other folders and hit close. And then what's going to happen is this desktop folder is actually going to be a different folder now. So we have our file here. This desktop folder is what's actually on your desktop. But this one's what's in my OneDrive, and they're no longer the same folder. If we have multiple Microsoft accounts, maybe a work one and a personal one, we can come up to the settings, and if we go account, you can hit add an account. And then you will get access to another OneDrive. So if I go back to the folder here, we actually see we have two OneDrive icons here. This is a work one. If I go to this top one, it's going to actually drop me back to the settings and say, hey, would you like to add another account for a personal OneDrive? Although you could have multiple work OneDrives if you wished, so long as you have multiple Microsoft accounts. So let's take a look at the web app. If I open up a web browser, I'm choosing to use Microsoft Edge, although you might be using Google Chrome or Firefox. And I'm going to go to Microsoft365.com. Alternatively, Office.com will get you to the same place. And now I'm going to sign in with the same Microsoft account that I used to sign into OneDrive. So now that I'm signed into Office.com, I can click on the waffle icon in the top left and launch OneDrive, and that'll open up in a new browser tab. From here, we can see My Files, and you'll notice that all of the exact same files are there as what are here in File Explorer. It's because they're literally the same files. We can also see what's been shared. So we can see if somebody has sent us a shared file through OneDrive, or we can see what we have shared through OneDrive. So let's take a file. Let's go to the pictures. Let's find that logo file. And I'm going to go to OneDrive and share. And I'm going to send this to my other email address, and I'm just going to hit send. And now we can see the actual status icon in File Explorer has changed. It has a little person beside it to let us know it's been shared. And if I refresh the web browser, we can see this file has now been shared. And what I can then do is from the web app here, I can hit Manage Access. And I can say, oh, the other person I didn't want to share, I can just stop sharing the file now. I can go to Advanced and change other settings as well, but we won't get into that. And or I can grant more access to people. When I send a file to someone using this and I hit Notify People, it will send them an email saying, hey, somebody has shared a file with you in OneDrive. You can open the file directly through that email, or it can appear in this Shared With You section. Anything in the Shared With You section, we can click on it, open it, just like it's our file. Sometimes it might just be available to view the file, or it might be available for editing the file. It depends on the settings that the other person chose when sharing a file to you. Now, in the bottom left here, you will notice something that says Quick Access. Your Quick Access may already be populated with a few things. This Quick Access is an access to SharePoint. We haven't talked about SharePoint yet, and we can create shared document libraries through SharePoint, whereas OneDrive, remember, is just ours, mostly. While we can create a SharePoint and a shared document collection using this, I'm actually going to recommend against it, at least for now. There is a better way, which we will cover in another video on SharePoint, about how to create your own shared document groups. Finally, let's take one look at creating and saving a file. When it comes to saving a file, you can save a file from any program, just like you into OneDrive, just like you would saving it anywhere else. So if I have something in Paint, maybe I copied a screenshot, and I wanted to save a file, well, I would go to Save As, or Save, and I can find my OneDrive right in here. I'll scroll up, OneDrive, and I can save it in exactly the spot I want it. Microsoft Office programs like Word and Excel may offer you another UI to find OneDrive, but I ultimately always choose to browse just through the normal files and find OneDrive directly. Additionally, back in Microsoft365.com, if I went to, let's say, Word here, I can open up files in the web browser. So I can either go to OneDrive, go to my Documents folder, find a document I was working on, and it will open it in Word in the browser. And if I want, I can actually open it directly in Word itself. So I can take this, if I click here, I can go Open. So I click the little meatballs icon, Open. Open in browser's the default. I can hit Open in App. I don't have the desktop apps installed on this machine at this time. However, this would launch the program directly to that OneDrive file on the regular Word app you're used to using. Additionally, anytime you saved that document, it would continue to save it directly back to OneDrive. So I can open the document from here, or from Microsoft365.com, I can look at Word. I can create a document from here and save it into OneDrive. If I create a new document, I can click here and choose where it's going to be saved. So right now it's saved in user1 account 1, so that's just the name of this account, under the Documents folder. I can rename this my document, and I can choose exactly where. Maybe I want that under the Documents folder, or maybe maybe that goes in my project folder for some bigger project I'm working on. I could say move it into here, and now that's where it is. If I then close the web browser, I can look back in my OneDrive folder on my computer, and we can see the document is right there, ready to go for us. Now, if I want my OneDrive to always be available offline, I want all my OneDrive files always offline, I can right-click OneDrive, always keep on this device, and now you'll notice all of the folders, all of the files within them have that little green check mark. I can come in here, take that file we shared earlier, manage access from here, and maybe we can stop sharing it. You can't really access files that somebody has shared with you through the native app, which is the app we're looking at now, including the little icon down here in the bottom right. For files that somebody has shared with you, you kind of do have to open them either through the email that somebody has sent you or through going to Microsoft365.com, going to OneDrive, finding the shared with you, and finding the file. All right, in another video, we will cover SharePoint, as well as how that integrates directly with Microsoft Teams.